man, could you imagine either Starfield or Elder Scrolls? You just feed the lore into your AIs.
AI is only as good as the input. I always get this feeling you're kind of going in circles with AI. It's waiting for your next input.
So AI is a lot like fortune telling. Welcome to episode 31 of Starfield with Normal People. My name is Michael, and as always, I am here with Duane.
Hello, Michael. How are you this week, this wonderful week?
I'm great. I'm great this week. A lot of exciting things going on in the world of gaming.
Yeah.
Not just in the world of Starfield, but gaming as a whole. And I don't know, it just got me thinking about stuff that is Starfield related that we're going to get into here in a moment.
Well, it's weird to me that we've gotten to a point in life where you could fill your day 100% with gaming news. I know I always, bring up the old man yells at cloud type thing, but I mean, it's pretty awesome to have this where there's so much going on in the gaming world. I remember, waiting for Nintendo Power to come in the mail and poring over every single page in that, just thinking, wow, this is all news that I didn't know about, and I had to wait a whole month until the next bit of news came in, and now it's like at our fingertips. I don't know. It's just, we shouldn't take it for granted as gamers.
And even then, that only the games that were, chosen to be featured in that issue of the magazine were what you got to know about.
And chances are you only had one of those games. Like they would feature one major game. Usually it was like a Nintendo flagship game like Zelda or something like that. That would be the big spread, like some tips or like maps or whatever. The other thing was just ads. Remember like looking at gaming ads and being like, that was how you found out about video games. You saw like a cool ad in Nintendo Power or Next magazine. Did you ever get Next?
Next sounds familiar. I don't think I got it. I did get, when I had a PlayStation, I had PlayStation Magazine. And one thing, I look back and some of the games that I played, I think to myself, why did I play that? Like, why? Like, it was very interesting, but now I'm kind of remembering, well, you would get PlayStation Magazine, it would come with a demo disc.
Right.
So some games that might not otherwise be known would get their demo on there. And every month, you would just play these demos and you'd be like, oh, that's pretty interesting. Like I'll actually, I'll play that weird game that I tried out. What's interesting though is demos will come out today, on Xbox Store, PlayStation, whatever. I don't find myself playing demos anymore. And I don't know if it's like a change in me or a change in how generally people are.
You get to a point in life where you're like, okay, I got a limited number of hours to play games. I'm just going to go ahead and buy it. I know, like based on the little research I did, the reviews, whatever, it's probably going to be in my wheelhouse in terms of games I like. So let's just go ahead and buy it. And if it's horrible, I'll suck up the 7, the 9, the 15.
Yeah.
Even the $50 charge sometimes. I'm looking at my gaming catalog and I'm like, there's a few that I bought for like the full $60 and then just really didn't take to it, but not too many.
Yeah, I don't have a ton of regrets on purchases. There are a few times, very rarely, I remembered there was a game called Stranded Deep where I bought it on Xbox. Like I buy everything digital now. Mm-hmm. And I bought it on Xbox and I was so incredibly disappointed with the game, just how it ran, how it controlled. Immediate regret. And I think I pay full price. I actually contacted Xbox and they removed it from my account and gave me my money back. And that's incredibly rare. I never do that. Yeah. This was that one time where I just said, I told them, I was like, look at my account. I buy a lot of games.
Right.
I have given you so much money.
You're like the lady that's
this
complaining at the grocery store. I shop here every week.
Yeah.
What do you mean this item?
It was like that, except I always try to be extremely nice. That whole, you get more with honey.
Well, speaking of getting more honey, I guess someone was searching for how to harvest organs on the internet.
Yeah. I thought this was funny. Somebody thanked Bethesda for the fact that they were searching on the internet for where to sell harvested organs. You know, this comes back to like one of my conversations that I've had with friends with where like video games have you searching sometimes like some very nefarious things and topics.
And you're just hoping
And
that the FBI doesn't pick up on that and
yeah.
start monitoring you closely.
And it's funny because the joke was always, you know, saying like, I'm gonna kill this person in Minecraft. You know, you always add in Minecraft to the end. Like,
Right.
I'm gonna slaughter millions of cows in Minecraft. And it was really funny right up until the moment that the FBI announced that they're going to be monitoring Minecraft chat, because actual terrorists were using Minecraft as a place to communicate. Did you hear about that?
I did. That's right. I forgot
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah. That's
Wow.
that's wild.
That's you got to watch what you say regardless. So let's delete the first part of this.
Yeah. In the game, of course, you can smuggle contraband, which does include harvested organs. Have you done a lot of contraband smuggling?
Not at all. That's an aspect
In the
of
game.
the game.
In the game, I want to be really
Okay, then
clear
yeah,
about
I've
that.
done a lot. No, I'm kidding. I haven't done really much in the game with contraband just because I was trying to play a very straight and narrow character.
Yeah.
And so if I saw something that was contraband, I either initially picked it up and then looked at my inventory and tossed it later before I even,
Yeah.
I think, left the planet's surface. So, but yeah,
Yep.
I think that could be a fun thing to look at later as I'm going back to the game.
Yeah, I think that could be fun. I feel like contraband is not one of those things that it's easy and it's not. Like, it's not easy to smuggle it into a major city or a major settlement.
Did you ever try the drug mules with your companions trick that we talked about in an earlier episode?
Yeah, so I want to say, I don't know the details on this. I want to say that soon after we talked about that, that they somehow like patched it. Maybe. I'm not 100% sure on that.
And just to clarify, that was to put it in the inventory of your companion and then dismiss them, right?
Yes, you dismissed them, and who knows, maybe it still works. But yeah, you would dismiss them, and then you would fly into like New Atlantis on your own, and then you can meet back up with them, which is actually kind of fun for role playing anyway. It's like, hey, you sneak in the back way, I'm gonna go in and whatever else. I think that there's a lot of fun to be had there. I don't know if contraband sells for more in like places where you're not supposed to take it. I haven't heard anything like that. See, because that to me would make more sense if like, because anyone can grab contraband and just go to the wolf system, for example. You can go there and sell it there. But if it like was worth double in a place where you actually had to sneak it in, that would be amazing.
Or you could
And
go
that
to
would be something that
if
you
you're
do.
friends with Crimson Fleet, you could go and sell it there, right, at the space station.
Right, yeah, you can do that.
You know what? I'd like to see the actual contents of those suitcases, because the suitcases are often, like you say, can contain organs.
Right.
But wouldn't it be cool to like go into your inventory and they actually have the suitcase open and you're actually looking at a heart that's encased in some kind of life support system?
That actually would be cool to see that. And then some of them are like, Aurora. So it'd be cool to like open the case and you see a bunch of vials of Aurora in there.
And one's broken. And so you start seeing like purple rhinos dancing around in front of your face. And
Yeah. You're like, well, this one's already open. It won't hurt,
can't let it go to
try
waste.
it out a little bit. Yeah. We're just not wasteful. I have to say, like, when I first played the game, like, everything was new and mysterious and fresh. Definitely the first time I found contraband, man, it was like finding a suitcase full of drugs in the woods. Not that I've done that.
What a rush.
But it was just one of those things where I was like I knew enough that I knew I couldn't take this into town, one of the major cities.
Yeah.
And I remember I was like, well, I gotta keep it somehow. And I went to this random planet, and I gathered materials just to build like the most basic outpost. I put an outpost, and I put one, a container for storage. And that's where I started storing contraband. Like, I felt like Steve Buscemi in Fargo, with the fence post and the suitcase full of money. And like that was a cool feeling that sadly now, because I know more about the game and how everything functions, I now kind of feel like I don't have to do that.
Right.
And so then my challenge to Bethesda would be, can we adjust things in the game so that I can get that feeling again?
Yeah.
Because like, man,
they should have an interstellar cop force that, once you get busted once, then you're kind of on their radar, and they show up randomly as soon as you exit a POI on a planet. There's just a group of like 6, interstellar contraband cops, and they're like, hey man, did you find anything in there? And they shake you down or something. They try to bribe.
Yeah.
You can bribe them, or I don't know. Like, there could be a whole.
All of that would be. Yeah. Wait a minute. Can you not bribe police force in this game? I don't even know what it's like to get arrested in this game, except for the one scripted part.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's the one scripted one in Neon where you can attempt to bribe, and because it's a dirty force anyway, right? So they accept the bribe of 2,000 credits or whatever it is.
Because in Skyrim you can bribe guards.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I don't know enough about being a criminal in Starfield.
Yeah, I think you can. I'm remembering some instances of dialogue that include a option to bribe, but you probably have to have pretty high, perks or points in that. Yeah, we're such goody two-shoes that we didn't even, look into that.
Yeah, so the negotiation perk. That's interesting. Yeah, see? Like, I haven't even dove into this, but there's a negotiation perk where, the persuasion minigame.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a new option labeled negotiation where you can actually offer money. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
I think the persuasion minigame, if you will, kind of needs some work. I don't know. Again, I only have 1 point in it, so maybe that's what I'm feeling. Kind of like lockpicking is like, well, you can't really criticize it until you put more skill points into it. But
yeah, see, that's tough because I do have points. I think I might have it maxed out.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I do like it.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's tricky because you're only 1 point, like you said.
Did you ever see that 80s movie Mannequin that had that horrible
I remember
song that went along with it?
I don't know if I ever watched
being crazy.
No, I don't remember. Yeah. I don't know if I ever watched the whole thing, but I certainly remember scenes playing out. I remember the ad for it, and I just remember the guy was like rolling around with this girl romantically, and then like the security guard shows up, and it's changed to a mannequin. It's him on the ground with a mannequin. And he's like, "What's wrong with you, boy?"
We never could have predicted that real doll would exist, at the time of the showing of that, because now that's like normalized. Yeah. No one would even bat an eye with a guy hanging out with a mannequin now.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about normalized, but
I bring that up because I bring that up because armor mannequins can spawn multiple kinds of armor now.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, this is nice because for a while there, wouldn't you just kind of like, I don't know about you, but like I would keep checking them. Like it was like the saddest thing. Like I'm like, well, maybe it's gonna be different this time, but it was always just the mining outfit, and it wasn't anything special. And then recently after the update, I have noticed, I've now seen, I saw a mannequin that had 3 pieces of epic, the purple armor on it.
Oh wow, okay. Nice.
Yeah, I was shocked. I was like, whoa, are these like actually worth checking now? So
Did
yeah,
you throw it on the
definitely.
back of your motorcycle and drive around town like in the movie Mannequin? No one is going to get these references. They're going to be like, what are you talking about?
There's gonna be one person like whose favorite movie is Mannequin, and they're gonna be like, yes, yes, I
People
know what you're
are
talking about.
people are Googling Mannequin now, and boy, there's a lot of disappointment.
Yeah, but yeah, it's actually worth checking out now the armor mannequins, and actually it's just refreshing to see different armors
Yeah.
there. And I think
Well,
that this,
if you're like me, you checked like the first 50 hoping it would be different, and it never was. So you just stopped looking at them after a while, right? But now there's a reason to actually check
yeah,
them.
yeah, exactly. No, I totally stopped checking them. Yeah, because it was just the same thing every single time.
But you forget it's the same thing, sort of. You're like, oh, it's got armor on it. And you go and you check it, and it was the same. And you're like, oh, I got tricked again. I wasted 0.5 seconds doing that, but still.
Oh man, I would trick myself too because there was part of me, it was like denial. It was I would see that it was the mining outfit and I was like maybe it's just a visual glitch
Right. And the armors
and
is
maybe if I
actually different.
check it, yeah, maybe if I check it it will be different. Yeah, what do they say about insanity? Anyway, so no more of that now, so that's good. By the way, did you ever see the movie Lars and the Real Girl?
No, but I immediately thought of that after Mannequin. That's like the modern day kind of, homage to
Except
Mannequin.
sort of, except that movie is actually incredible. It's a really good movie.
Oh, yeah. No, it's really well done. Yeah. It's not kind of a cheesy rom com.
Once I saw that movie, I was like, because I was just like, it's definitely like a cringy material, like to deal with.
Is it?
But I
Shoot,
watched it and I actually ended up
I guess I can't
loving that movie.
bring my real doll out next time you come over.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Okay,
I got a lot of
so
things that I can't say.
on the list of things that I don't want my kids to show up with, like at a family reunion,
Yeah.
like, hey,
I
hey,
always
Dad,
said,
this is my new girlfriend. My God.
yeah, this subject matter is getting off the rails, but I've told friends, I'm like, the worst part, without going into detail, but I like to me the worst part of owning one of those objects is like where do you store them? Like
Right.
just
It's
throwing one of
creepy.
those in a closet
Yeah.
has got to feel so weird.
Is there like a coffin that it comes shipped in, and then you just like store it in the like padded coffin thing? Like, this gets
Yeah, at
into
least then
really
you could
weird.
pretend it's a vampire.
This gets into weird science fiction territory of like so many movies have that like storage place where the robots go and they recharge or whatever.
Right. Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
well, you'll just have to order one and tell us where you store it.
Yeah. Well, hey, let me grab the company credit card and just
Oh man, those things are like 30 grand too, aren't they? So
they
I've
are
heard.
insanely expensive. I've heard. I've never looked myself, but a friend told me that they are very expensive.
It's as
Yeah.
much as a car.
Yeah, it's crazy. Worth it though. I mean, again, I've heard.
You like driving your car? You're gonna love driving this.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, check those mannequins, people. They've got some good armor on them.
Back to Starfield.
Yeah, so speaking of the update also, I did see a post, we've talked about boarding in the past and how I don't do it that much, but I've heard like it's so much fun like when you do. Apparently, since the update, boarding seems more intense and more fun according to a few posts that I have seen.
Okay.
So I wonder, has there been tweaks made to the AI? Because I've heard the same thing about POIs, that the AI seems to be a little bit smarter and a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah, I haven't done it before and after with the boarding in particular.
Yeah.
So I can't really speak to that, but I had noticed in the before, let's say, that AI kind of bunch up in one section of the ship, and then you're just kind of like ducking around the corner,
Right.
shooting at them. I mean, that's kind of the nature of spaceship fighting anyway. So, but I could see how they could improve it, either with dialogue, the things they say to each other, or just how they react and position themselves and try to prevent you from taking over their ship.
Yeah, and just a couple of weeks ago, I had said that I was doing a lot of like the non-story stuff where I was just going to POIs and everything. But since the update, I've actually been sort of having fun doing story stuff again. So then it only occurred to me now, man, I don't think I've been to a random POI since the update. So I think that's something that I want to test out this week and see, and maybe finally build a ship based around boarding, because it sounds hella fun.
It does sound fun. And if you guys have an experience with the AI that you've noticed, let us know in the comments on our YouTube channel or come into our Discord.
I'm finding that comments on the YouTube channel are easier to go back and reference, especially like there's some things I want to talk about, near the end of today's episode. There's some great feedback that we got about role playing. Whereas the Discord is great if you want a conversation. So
you'd mentioned Ken Levine's story blocks in our notes. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, so this is interesting. This is a report that just came out today. Jeff Keighley and a few other gaming journalists were allowed to go and play the brand new game Judas. Now, this is from creator Ken Levine, who did BioShock.
Yeah.
So BioShock is one of my favorite all-time games. It's sort of like it's RPG light, really heavy on storytelling, and it's just fantastic. It is a classic game that I hope they keep redoing and remaking or revamping, however, as long as it's available to play. It doesn't even have to be remade, but basically like remasters, I'm good with.
Yeah. I do have the remastered version of is there 3 of them? Or is it just the first 2?
Yeah, so they did BioShock and BioShock 2, which Ken Levine actually didn't have anything to do with BioShock 2. But I think it's still very good. Like, I think it's a good game. And then Ken Levine did create BioShock Infinite.
Yes.
Yeah.
I played probably 80% of that through.
Yeah. I'm a little bit of an outlier. I am not a huge fan of BioShock Infinite, which I probably will get a little bit of, some feedback on that because people love it. Like, a lot of people love that game. But I feel vindicated because Ken Levine said that even he was not happy with how BioShock Infinite turned out.
So he created or he's working on a new game called Judas, and not just a Perfect Circle song.
Not just it's interesting because he made BioShock. Then he said, I'm going to create something brand new. And then he disappeared for 10 years and he was working on this new tech. And then he came back and they show a trailer for the game and it basically looks like BioShock. And I'm not necessarily complaining because I love it and he's good at that.
Wait, does it take place underwater?
No, this one's in space. So, hey, Starfield related in a way because it's in space. All this is related to Starfield because we'll get to this, but basically they talk about this new narrative story block or like narrative building blocks. And what is interesting is apparently, we have to be careful with hype because they always hype this stuff up. But apparently the idea is that every time you play, it can be slightly different. Which we've heard that and we've seen that before in games, but it seems to be the basics are when you get into this like space station in the game, there are 3 characters that are trying to get you to do what they want you to do. So there's like 3 characters that they interact with each other and they have differing opinions on what you should do. So what's interesting is you can do things like do a mission for character 1, and then character 2 might be like, that's fine, but while you're in there, I want you to do this thing for me. And then maybe character 3 is like pissed at you and like upset that you're even helping character 1. So what's kind of fascinating is Jeff Keighley said that he was like in sort of like a situation where he needed this there's like a health replenishment station. And one of the characters was mad at him that he was doing a mission for character 1. and they like locked him out of the healing station. And so he was laughing because it was like just the worst thing to happen to him in the game in that moment because he needed that healing station. But he thought it was amazing because he couldn't get in there because this character was mad at him. And so like you have to like, you want to like balance out your relationships with these three characters.
Yeah.
I just found that really fascinating. And it's...
Yeah, and the biblical reference to Judas Iscariot, right? Of, the time of Jesus. And
being
he was
a traitor.
Yeah, he was being the traitor. So you could see where they got the title, I guess.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I find it fascinating. Apparently Jeff Keighley made comparisons to the game Shadow of Mordor, which had what they call the Nemesis system.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know what I'm talking about, right?
We both love Shadows of Mordor, or is it Shadow of Mordor?
Shadow of Mordor. Yeah.
Yeah. That's an amazing hack and slash game. It's so fun.
It was so fun. And if anyone has not played Shadow of Mordor, I'm telling you, it is worth it because what the Nemesis system does is you'll fight an orc and maybe you'll kill it, or maybe, because the game was tough sometimes, they might kill you. Well, the orc now, if you like burn the orc during the battle, the next time you see them, they're burned. They remember that you burned them. And if any orc that like defeats you, they level up. So they become stronger. And dude, there were times where like I got killed by an orc like 2 or 3 times. And the next time you encounter him, he's super strong. He's all messed up because he's got the cuts and the scars and everything from battle. And he like remembers you. He's like, you took my arm, but whatever. Dude, when you finally killed that orc that you were having trouble with, it felt so personal, more than any other game I've ever played.
Agree. You would cross the map to get back to that orc, right? Because they would move around, wouldn't they?
They moved around. Yep.
They'd be in a different spot, so you had to go find them.
And orcs would get promoted. Yeah.
They'd be taunting you, and it was super personal. And it kept you coming back for more. What started out as like a simple timing game, like if you played Batman Arkham Asylum, where you timing the punches and punches and kicks, then you would love this game. But you brought it up because...
So I bring it up because they're comparing the story blocks in this new Judas game to that game.
To the Nemesis system in
Shadow
of Mordor.
Yeah, just because they're saying that like they remember like choices that you make. And Starfield is full of choices, but it's definitely not built in this same way. It's not built with like the Nemesis system. And I'm not being that type of gamer that just wants every game to include every system.
Sure.
But
they have the dislike system or the like system. So you're either gaining or losing affinity with any game choice that matters.
Yeah, no, that's true.
But the difference is, although, well, like if Barrett is with you, but then they're not disappointed if you're with Sarah and you do something that Sarah likes. It's not like that.
Exactly. Which I think a lot of people really wish it was more like that because at the moment, most of Constellation is sort of on the same side in all things.
Well, that's a lot like Baldur's Gate. Have you gotten a chance to try Baldur's Gate 3 yet?
I have not yet.
You're with a party of 3 or 4 and you're like, so-and-so liked this, but then the other person hated this. So it's a game of like, do 3 of my 4 companions like what I just did? Then I'll call it a win.
Yeah. So that would be really cool if, I'm hoping, and I bet they'll do this because they've had really morally bankrupt characters in past games. But I would love for there to be... Bethesda, yeah,
Hmm.
Bethesda in like Fallout especially. Well, actually, Fallout and Elder Scrolls like really has a good mix of good and evil and just morally gray. But I would love like for people in Starfield, like the companions, it'd be great if like multiple companions are around you and you make a decision or you do something and it's like so and so liked that, so and so disliked that, and it's just down the line. Like honestly, I'm reminded of a very different type of game called Splinter Cell Double Agent.
Okay.
So Splinter Cell, of course, is well known as a stealth game, but Double Agent had you infiltrating like a criminal organization, and they you would make choices. It's like going undercover. They'd be like, torture this guy or kill this guy. And the CIA or whoever, it's not CIA, but whoever you work for, they don't want you to kill that guy. But if you don't kill that guy, the suspicion meter goes up for the
Right.
criminal organization. And so throughout the game, you had to make these choices to make sure you don't look suspicious, but also make sure that the good guys don't just kick you out.
Sure.
Which actually, that they sort of do that in Starfield, don't they? With the pirate mission, when you are
They do give you
you're
choices.
undercover.
Don't
Yeah.
be suspicious.
I did a mission, or I did a playthrough where I was working for SysDef, but doing the pirate stuff, and I was doing it the way that SysDef did not want me to do at
Yeah,
all.
that was actually my
And
current game.
yeah, okay,
Like I got to a save where everybody at SysDef was just completely pissed off at me. I forget what it was. Just I went on
Yeah.
on the cruise ship and I killed like Dombrowski.
bunch of guards.
Yeah.
Oh, you killed Dombrowski.
Well, no,
Dude,
I killed
that guy
everybody
had-
on.
Yeah.
One save, I killed everybody on the ship because something happened, and I just was like, whatever. I'm just gonna eliminate everybody.
You were like F the 1%, and you just
And then I got back to the SysDef ship, and of course, all hell broke loose. But yeah,
I saw that where I had to fight my way out of SysDef. So, what's interesting is, so it just reminds me of that mission because you're sort of like playing both sides. And yeah, I find that interesting. And as an aside, for anybody that doesn't know this, if you want to play a pure pirate character, you don't have to accept the mission from SysDef. Because so the way it's structured now, or the way it's structured in the game, is where you'll work for SysDef, you'll do a mission with the pirates, and then between every mission, you have to go back and report.
got to go check
to
in.
SysDef. Yeah, you have to check in. And just so people are aware, because I didn't know this till, just a couple months ago, you can actually turn down the mission when you're picked up by SysDef. Turn it down completely. Just say, nope, I'm not going to do it. And then eventually you'll be contacted by the Crimson Fleet independently. And once they do that, you can then just play that whole storyline without ever going to check in because you don't work for SysDef.
Right.
So I thought that was cool because, if you want to play just a pirate character, you don't want to be going in and checking in with SysDef.
And you want to meet Mathis, so I mean, you got to go through that storyline.
Mathis is super cool. Mathis and Jessamine are two very cool characters that make it worth doing the pirate storyline. Yeah, I like Mathis a lot. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see like how these sort of like concepts of story blocks and like sort of non-linear storytelling might, possibly apply to RPGs in the future. I don't know if it's necessary, and also we have to see it in practice, because who knows? It could all just be hype, and it might not be that big a deal.
You said something interesting
when it comes
earlier
out.
about like we don't need everything all at once in every video game, but we're almost kind of on a path to getting there because once these narrative building blocks are a thing, more common, it's like, why wouldn't you implement that? And if the understanding is there, or if there's a company that makes a a tool set that you can just plug into your game that contain those, why wouldn't you? You know, it's going to make the game better.
Well, and the Nemesis system in Shadow of Mordor is so good that it kept you playing, even though the core gameplay loop of that game is
Very
actually very
repetitive
simple.
and
It's
repetitive.
so
Yeah.
repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's simple, it's repetitive, it's just fight, stealth, stealth, stealth. It's just the same thing over and over again. It's just that the Nemesis system made it so fun. So by contrast, Starfield doesn't have the Nemesis system, but what it does have is just a million other things that you can do. I constantly shift around what I'm doing in Starfield, and I feel like that's why I keep playing it, is because I constantly feel like I'm playing a different game. Which, man, it sounds so hyperbolic, but it is true. Like, all the week where I'm just building outposts.
What if they made like the hunter was your nemesis, and
Right.
they made it sort of like Shadow of Mordor, where if he killed you once, he leveled up. That would be really cool. Or if he got some kind of different power and you could somehow track him, so you were kind of on this mission to, finding and destroying, or maybe it could be some other person. It doesn't have to be like a Starborn.
Yeah.
But
I was gonna say if they don't, they don't even have to mess with the story as it currently is.
mm-hmm.
I was going to say they could introduce a brand new Starborn that's just like, whoa, who is this? Like some crazy new thing. And yeah, that would be really cool if it became sort of like the Nemesis system. Like, depending on what you do, he changes and alters like his tactics, and that would be really cool. Yeah.
And he should have his own super cool ship too, that's like unique and really like badass, kind of like the reboot of Star Trek, J.J. Abrams, where the mining ship,
Right.
where it's just huge and very angry looking spaceship.
That would be really cool. And in talking about the story blocks, I am reminded that Jeff Keighley was really quick to say, this is all handcrafted. We're not talking about the AI, powered stuff that we're seeing everyone trying to push into the next gen.
Mm-hmm.
But I find it fascinating because AI, like, I have the same possible issues with it that a lot of people have.
Mm-hmm.
But last week, Ubisoft let some game developers basically talk to some AI-powered NPCs.
Right.
And when I say AI-powered, it's kind of funny because AI has been around since like the dawn of video games. But what I'm talking about specifically is like this NPC would be like, you've got to join our cause and fight. We've got to fight the enemy, whatever. It's an Ubisoft game. So it's like half their games have like, freedom fighters in it.
Mm-hmm.
And drones. They love drones so much. And sure enough, there was a drone in this gameplay demo, which I found very funny. But my point is that you would be talking to this character, like the guy, he was just using his voice. So it's like, in Starfield, you have these dialogue choices, right? And then they have responses to those choices. So in this game, this NPC has a goal. The goal is to get you recruited to their cause. Mm-hmm. So the person trying this demo talks to the NPC and he says, give me one word for why I should join you guys. And of course, he like thinks a little bit like it's not quite there, but then he goes, passion. And like, he has a voice too. He's like, it's not just text. Mm-hmm. He's like, passion. We've got to take, the fight to the enemy. And then the journalist said, well, I don't know if I want to get mixed into this because I have a family. I have a wife and 2 daughters. Dude, the NPC was like, we are fighting to make a world better for our families and for our children. He's like, think about your daughters as you go into battle, like, and what you're doing for them. Like, so crazy. So I'm just like, man, could you imagine, like, either Starfield or Elder Scrolls, where like you just feed the lore into your AIs?
To just play devil's advocate real quick, like if you are a creative person and you can chat up an AI like that, then you're helping to build the story. Like AI is only as really as good as the input. That's kind of like my litmus test for testing
Yes.
AI is like, well, what can it tell me without me inputting a bunch of stuff, right?
Right.
That's the beauty of Ken Levine's game is that it's handcrafted and that you're
Yep.
you're getting a story that's, built by humans and makes sense. Whereas this demo
Yeah.
that you're talking about, I mean, don't get me wrong, has a ton of potential, but ultimately, I always get this feeling you're kind of going in circles with AI. Like it's waiting for your next input,
Yes.
and then
Yeah.
your input is how it forms the story.
Yeah, which by the way, your policy for like how much can it give me without me telling it stuff, that's a good policy for fortune tellers too. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, that's how they get their scam on is they basically you tell them everything they need to know, right?
Yeah. So AI is a lot like fortune telling, which actually makes a lot of sense.
It does. Yeah, that's a really good analogy.
So I'm just thinking like you go to a POI, let's say there's a settlement there, and the AI like has access to all the lore. And if it's smart, it won't have access to everything. Like for instance, I would love to go to a settlement and just be like, "Hey, is it difficult for you to farm here on this, on this planet?" And for them to just reply back and say like, "Oh yeah, it's tough because of this," and like they know about that planet. It would be really not good if every NPC can tell you everything about the whole game, like, but if they just know about their corner of it.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it would be really fun to mess with the NPCs as well and just kind of, it'd probably be infinitely entertaining to see what kind of responses you get by doing all sorts of crazy things that you wouldn't do in real life when you're talking
yeah,
with somebody. So that'd be fun.
I agree with you that like generally the story should be handcrafted, right? Like the really important stuff should be handcrafted. And yeah, maybe it's just sort of like supplemental. I mean, I could see it the same way that currently they do with the procedural generation, right? Where they have the handcrafted stuff for the main game, and then there's procedural generation around it. So I could see dialogue and script being written very specifically, and then it's sort of like supplemented with, like AI stuff.
Yeah, it's like the Lost TV series Bible that the showrunners, try to write the show around these core elements that they had created. You create this
Right.
core script and then you let the AI play within the parameters of that script. Yeah, and I think it's going to be like we had talked about ragdoll physics, how that changed gameplay and was mind-blowing.
Oh, yep. Yep.
There were companies that specialized in implementing ragdoll physics into your game. So as a game developer, you could go buy the ragdoll physics portion, plug it in, and add your game on top of it. Well, this could be the same thing. Like just go buy the AI portion of it, plug it into your game, and then tailor it to your storyline.
And I could give you like the smallest thing that they could do to make the game more immersive is literally just shopkeepers. They just have a different line every time you go in.
Right.
That's it. You don't even have to have a crazy, like, you can talk to them about whatever you want. Like literally if just you don't hear the same NPC lines over and over again, that already is like massive.
Yeah, that's true. It's hard to see too many downsides to it, honestly. I don't know.
Yeah.
Would you want to game where you're speaking into a microphone for the whole duration of your gameplay to talk to these NPCs, or would you type it in, or how would you want to approach that?
See, that's the thing is like when you say it like that, I'm impressed by the tech, but I don't think I want to do that because like
when you watch the demo, it's a little, it's kind of off-putting a little just to like listen to this person talking to the NPC. I don't know how or why. It feels like somebody's in my movie that shouldn't be there that's talking to my movie character, my character in the movie's responding. Of course, because
Yeah.
it's not me, I'm watching a video, so it'd probably be different if it was firsthand, but I don't know.
Right, but it's similar to like my issue with VR where like I live I have a family. Like I live in a house with people.
Mm-hmm.
And I could not imagine sitting and talking to my TV and talking to AI characters and having other people hear me. Like
Well,
I would just
yeah, I
feel
mean, think about
very silly.
all the things you say or you don't say to your family members, and then you're going to go sit on a computer and talk to AI for hours on end when you're not
Yeah.
even carrying on conversations with your teenage kids or
Yeah.
or younger. I don't know. This could be bad.
I think yeah, I'm definitely seeing a future where an argument breaks out because you talk to your video game character more than you talk to me.
What is the difference between typing in a chat room to someone else in the same manner or playing a game? I mean, there's really no difference. It's new technology, so it feels different.
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah. Well, everything that's new is a little bit awkward, and like
Mm-hmm.
even VR is like wildly accepted now, and become not quite, but it's becoming mainstream, and yet I still like it still separates you from everyone else in the house because you're covering your eyes. You know, you can hear people, but not that well because you've got speakers going into your ears.
Mm-hmm.
It's still a separator from you. It's just a
Yeah.
social block.
They just implanted the first Neuralink, so eventually you'll just be able to sit catatonically and, play your video game completely in your brain and not bother people.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait for that. Yeah, they say that. They say that they implanted, but where's that dude, right? Where's he?
He's
Because I
already
bet he's
a billionaire because he he has an advantage over everybody. He's living on
it's
an
either
island
that
somewhere.
or I was gonna say he's working in the emerald mines.
The spice mines of Kettle.
Elon puts these, brain chips in, and then they just go work in the mines for Elon.
They turn into a Tesla car manufacturing robot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nope. Sorry if I don't want to put a brain device that Elon's company made in my head.
You don't, but your kids will.
Yeah, it's like Marty McFly. Your kids are gonna love it.
Your kids are gonna love it.
Well, Duane, you finally made it to the emissary and the hunter. This is a junction point in the story.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been really excited because I didn't want to get spoiled, so I went through the game really fast when it first came out. You, opposite end, you're taking your time. You're just living the life in Starfield, and
That's right.
but you're finally to this point. So I wanted to ask you, like, yeah, what's going on in your game, and how are you feeling about it?
Amazingly, I did not get spoiled on who the emissary is. Like all this time.
Yeah,
So I was
yeah.
absolutely surprised, spoiler,
Yeah.
when the emissary was revealed to be who they were.
Yeah.
And I had a newfound respect for the storyline in the game because up until that point, I was kind of very laser focused on finding these artifacts and kind
Yeah.
of figuring out where that story went. So when it threw that kind of hard left turn at me, I was definitely surprised and a little bit. This happened with Fallout 4 with me, where you get to the main point of the story and it kind of wasn't what you expected.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to feel about it. I kind of stopped.
Yeah.
I haven't played this. This happened a week ago, and I actually haven't played the game at all. I'm still saved at the point where I meet the hunter and the emissary on the Starborn ship,
Okay.
and I
Yeah.
haven't made my choice. There's a choice there that you have to make. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and do it, but I do have that feeling of a little bit. The game feels different. Let me put it that way. It feels like I've crossed
Yeah.
the threshold, which obviously I have, and I will. But now that I have a more understanding of what's happened, it feels like I've been living in the Matrix a little bit.
Right.
Reality is not what I thought it was, which is kind of
Yeah.
cool and also kind of depressing because the way you had talked about, like you were thinking about the game the next day at work.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that's what
Yeah.
I'm experiencing is kind of like this deeper philosophical thing of multi-universes and what it means to build relationships with facsimiles of people who aren't really who you think they are, or there's copies of people or alternate timelines of people. And I fully believe in real life alternate universes. Like that sounds a little crazy to say it out loud, but I do think I forget the exact science behind it, but it was something that I was like, okay, I can believe this because of how time and space works.
It's believable enough.
Yeah. So like every decision we make, there's splits of different timelines and different instances of you in different universes. It goes back to that.
That's
We've talked
interesting,
about
yeah.
this in another episode where you put an apple in a box, a sealed box, and like given enough time, it'll become everything in the universe. It's kind of like that. Given enough time, there are infinite copies of you and everything and different timelines that have existed or will exist or did exist or are currently existing. So it's
Yeah, which is kind of mind-blowing.
yeah.
I'd like to read more about this because I've kind of imagined, I wonder if the universe, I feel like some have described that it could be similar to a cell dividing. And like when something, becomes life, it divides and divides and divides. And it's just, yeah, I wonder, like, could our universe be like that in a way?
Yeah,
Who
I think it
knows?
gets down to quantum mechanics, like if something's being observed, the double slit experiment and all that kind of stuff. You look into that and you realize that in the quantum universe, things are vastly different
Right.
than our own
Right.
universe. And that can lead to an understanding of, different timelines. And, you can go around in circles just thinking about stuff like this. But
Well,
that made me think of it in the game because like this whole concept of having lived different lives and having lived, 10 of these lifetimes and or more. And you have now that opportunity to relive a lifetime and make different choices.
yeah. And that's interesting because you haven't finished the game yet, but you are far enough that you know that is a core concept of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And what is interesting to me is when I first played, like I was loving the game, but when I started to realize that this game deals with multiverse,
Mm-hmm.
I almost felt I was like a little bit bummed, but only because our media right now
Yeah,
with Marvel and everything else, it's sort of flooded with multiverse
it really
concepts.
is. Yeah, it was kind of like the timing on Starfield wasn't the greatest given that Marvel nosedived and went too far off in the multiverse. So it kind of gave
Yeah.
multiverse a bad name, but yeah, and Starfield as its first impression was pitched as this game that was very grounded in the reality that we know, which is to travel into space and find planets and colonize
Yeah.
them. And then
Yeah.
they made it a video game ultimately when they threw in the Starborn and this other element of the game, the
Yeah.
multiverse and all that. So you could make the argument that Starfield could have been a great game on its own without this, but it's also interesting
Yeah.
of how they have woven in NG New Game Plus and
Yes.
kind of also helped the processing of the game itself. Like it resets the game and makes it run better when you go through and do NG Plus,
Yeah.
right?
And then you still have all your skills and everything. So it's like you can just keep continuing. Yeah. So I was gonna say there's a bit of a second part to what I'm saying, in that I was a little disappointed at first, but yeah, I agree, like what you're saying, how they weave it into NG Plus to me is actually incredibly brilliant.
Yeah, I agree.
Because when I played Skyrim. I played Skyrim several times with several different characters.
Mm-hmm.
So when I replay Skyrim again, I already know what these characters are going to say because I've played the game. But now they've taken that idea of replaying a game and made it a core part of the story where it's like, and it's so crazy to me because I see people really wrestling with, should I go through New Game Plus or do I stay in my current universe? And it's actually funny to me because I did that too. I didn't play for a couple days after when I was faced with that choice because I was paralyzed by that choice. I had this whole other life. I had my ships, I had my friends, and I had gotten married. And it was like, what? I can't leave all that. And it's the reason I say it's funny is because in any other game, you just be like, yeah, I started a new character. It's not a big deal. I started a new character. And in this, because it's tied to the same character that's now going into New Game Plus, it just messes with your mind.
I think you're going to see other game development companies do a similar trick where they extend the gameplay. They extend the gameplay by looping it like that. So when you complete the game, maybe you carry your skills over and you can play the game over again and kind of a soft reset. I think it's a good enough idea that you might start to see it in other games.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, right? Because like they're not the first ones to do New Game Plus, but they are the first. I won't say they're the first because I don't know, but it's the first that I've seen where it's like woven into the story itself. And it's pretty fascinating. I've heard people complain about like, if I go through New Game Plus, I'm going to lose all my stuff. And it's like, you would have lost all your stuff if you started a new game in any past Bethesda game.
Right.
It's like, you have to see it as you're not losing that stuff. You're gaining the chance to start the game over at a higher level with higher level enemies. And also, we've said this before, you don't have to do it. Unless, of course, your game is buggy and doing New Game Plus fixes those bugs. But generally, from a gameplay standpoint, you don't have to do it. And they are fixing a lot of these bugs. So more and more, you can stay in that world. Definitely better than you could in Skyrim on the 360. Man, you hit a point near the end of the story in Skyrim. It was unplayable.
Yeah, they've learned from their mistakes. Well, speaking of fixing the game, they did release a hotfix this week, right?
Yeah. Did you see? This was a glitch where I didn't get it, luckily, but some people got a glitch where every character kept saying, oh no, what are we going to do now? And just over and over again. And you've had a similar thing.
I did. I was just going to bring that up. Like in the first version of the game, I had one particular NPC just repeat the same dang line of dialogue over and over. It was so annoying.
Like, we need to get these supplies to
the settlement,
Hopetown or something
like that.
Yeah. I was laughing because the idea of going around the entire game and every character just saying, oh no, what are we going to do now? Is like some weird backrooms, creepy, bizarre type horror film stuff to me.
Right.
So, but yeah. It doesn't belong in this game, and that would drive me crazy if it happened to me. But apparently it's fixed.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad they fixed it. There was a someone named Bajwa Gaming had noticed that there was a massive improvement to the links and outposts. I have one link that I set up and didn't really get it working right. This is a long time ago, so I haven't really done much in it. Have you played around the linking outposts yet?
I have actually. I had a pretty nice little setup with quite a few outposts where one would mine and then it would be linked. And yeah, you have to link the mining apparatus to a container, or you can bypass the container and just go right to the outpost link.
Right.
And basically, you're basically saying, I'm mining aluminum, put all my aluminum in this box. And then every 2 minutes, a ship comes, lands, takes whatever is in that box out to a designated other outpost. So yeah, I actually had quite a few outposts working together where it was sending materials to my central spot. And that's very cool when you can get it set up. But yeah, originally, every single like little pipe, like you can see sort of like a pipe going.
Indicator line deal.
An indicator line, yeah. It was all red. It was just red, and you didn't see it really flowing in any direction. So this is a very welcome change. Apparently now they're red when they're not attached to anything. They're yellow when they're carrying energy, and green, I think, when they're connected and carrying supplies.
Correct.
This is great.
And they animate towards the flow, which is really nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. This is a huge deal for people that are doing, like, some people are like basically playing Factorio in Starfield, where you have this massive operation going. And if you haven't done this much, you can not only have mining and materials going somewhere, you can have it going to a little factory where it's making something else. And then that factory can send what it built to another little factory machine that will build something else. It's crazy. Like, you can actually set up some pretty impressive operations.
Let me tell you, people, if you are the person that has set up one of these, huge linked outposts and factories, and you're making millions of credits, do it in real life. Use the same principles and become a millionaire. I mean, think about it. This is teaching you how to run a logistics company, more or less. Like, how do I get product A to here and turn it into something and, and sell it for profit?
It is funny, though. It's funny because, I've done this in games so many times where I'm like figuring out like, I'm going to save my items. I'm going to save this money so I can do this. Like, I do that in the game. And like, every once in a while it hits you and it's just like, I should be figuring out how to do this in real life. Like,
sadly, there's no obvious set of tools where you just have to like piece them together like in a video game. So you have to figure it out yourself, but hey, it's possible.
It's possible. Yeah.
While you're building this amazing real life factory, it'd be great to put on in the background.
Well, what are you thinking?
Gamerscapes.
You can put on Gamerscapes,
which is our new YouTube channel, right? That you created.
Yeah, we created this new YouTube channel called Gamerscapes, and all it is it's like relaxing sounds and sort of atmosphere, but it's literally it's not just a loop. We are literally taking a scene from Starfield, from Elden Ring, where we have a full hour recorded. So essentially the first one that we put out is basically you are just outside of New Atlantis. So you're looking at New Atlantis, the sun is coming up, it's moving across the sky, and you hear the sounds of nature, and then every so often you have a ship, taking off or landing in the distance. It is sort of, I've actually seen a comment already saying that they are working on their thesis, and this was something that they put on in the background. So it was really cool to see that feedback so quickly.
I want to get one up of like rain and thunder and lightning effects, because those are really cool. One of the early planets we did for SAC had the potential for thunderstorms.
Yes, I love how Starfield has their thunderstorms sort of roll in, and we are absolutely going to capture that. So we've got interior of neon. So you hear kind of that bustling future town, and some of the advertisements sort of in the distance in the background.
Oh, that's cool.
Very peaceful but cool. I have several that I've already recorded that haven't been published yet, but I saw a comment, actually a Reddit comment, specifically requested they want neon, like sort of like from the rooftops, but during the rain. So it's kind of similar to what you're talking about with the rain. I thought that was a great idea. So we're going to do that. Anyway, link is in the description. Check it out. We are putting out videos that are just meant to be sort of like a live window into one of these sort of peaceful landscapes of Starfield and other games.
Put it on full screen and set the volume and just kind of go about your business, and do what you do during the day. And it's nice to have on the back. It's like we used to jump through hoops to find a cool screensaver back in the day for our computer.
Right. Yeah.
And, this is a million times better than that. So enjoy.
This is exactly something that I have always wanted. So like my favorite games, I would love to have my TV be like a window into that world while I do other things. Mm-hmm. So yeah, basically this is just like a lot of things that Duane and I do. This is just something that I wanted myself as a fan.
You could also set up a little monitor next to your fish tank and put it on for Plague. I think your fish Plague would enjoy watching Starfield landscapes.
I think so. But yeah, click on that link. Make sure you subscribe and just leave a comment for what game you would want to see included or what location in Starfield you would want included. I'll say one more thing about this. There was a great comment that we should go back through all of the Starfield Adventure Club locations and create gamerscapes for those. And yes, it's going to take some time, but I'm going to do it.
Yeah, and you should also check out War Wizard and all of his videos because he did nature-style videos.
Nature documentary,
Yes, of all the SAC locations that have fauna, right? So barramoons.
Yeah, definitely check out that channel. He's great, and you'll see him in our Discord. So once again, if you haven't joined the Discord yet, click on the link in the description. Come chat with us and with other listeners of the show and just people that love Starfield.
Yeah.
All right, and we have our supporters of the show. We want to thank you so much for anyone that is helping support the show on Patreon. And we've got our companions. These are extra special OGs that are keeping the show going. Now, that is Space Cadet. We've got Rampage American X, Cherry Bomb RN, Griffin, Ben Price, and Zegra Rocks. And you know what? He does rock. They all rock. So thank you very much. You can actually join the Patreon for as little as $1 a month. And that will get you ad-free episodes, and you're going to get them earlier than everyone else.
Yeah, with your support, we find new ways to develop the community and give back to the community, make it a bigger and better place for all of you to hang out. So we appreciate it.
Yep. And thanks to everyone that listens on Spotify, Apple, and thank you to those watching on YouTube. All of the links are provided in the show notes below.
Extra special thanks for comments and feedback. If you have a comment, suggestion, or an in-game story to share, you can leave a comment on our YouTube page.
Yeah, and actually this week we had some amazing comments from people. They heard our episode about finding new ways to roleplay and expand on it in Starfield. Wow, people were telling me all kinds of restrictions that they put on themselves. One of them, Clint Eastwood PS3, says that he does not use med packs. And so it makes combat, he says it makes combat good and strategic. I think it makes it sound really scary, but in the best way. Could you imagine you go into, I've had times where I didn't have med packs on accident, and it is terrifying.
You definitely have to be a lot more strategic and a lot more careful. So that can add a whole new element of gameplay to it.
And one other comment from Genghis Bobber said that they've started doing what they call a scrounge mode when they start a new game plus. So they say there's always at least a scruffy Eon at Vectera. He likes to head to Crete to loot that base, even though there's no pirates. So if you do New Game Plus, the pirates are not there, but you can still go there and loot the base. So yeah, I've said in the past that I like the idea of having to scrounge for supplies, so I can see why they're playing that way.
Yeah, I think we could all get a little more Genghis Khan, and I agree with what he says.
One more comment. We've got one from Thomas Kenyon. Now, this is very important. Thomas says that Sarah has different dance animations for different clubs. So,
Really?
Last week we talked about characters dancing. And they say they imagine that the others do too. So now I'm thinking I have to take every companion to every spot that has dancing. And
You are a
see,
completionist, so I could see that happening.
Yeah.
You know,
Maybe that's a potential video.
oh yeah, I was just gonna say, new Gamerscapes would be just, Sarah dancing at this club, and it's her dancing for like an hour.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, we might have to do that.
Dance tour.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you like the show, consider dropping a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app, because that would really help us out.
Thanks for traveling to Starfield with us. Make sure you subscribe, because we will be back for more next week.
Yes, we will. We'll see you then.